Greetings and grace. All right, today we are talking about how it's the impact cat. Ooh, scratch that. Greetings and grace. Greetings and grace. All right, so tonight we are talking about how it's the impact cat. Excuse me, I had a little hiccup. Like you ever had like those hiccup burps at like the same time? It's like a weird thing. But you want to go to First Timothy chapter 4, verse 10, and that is by no, I lied. Second Timothy chapter 4, verse 10. Excuse me, y'all. And it's about this guy named Demas. And apparently he only has a few verses in the Bible. But let's talk about his impact. Uh, Personal remarks. So Second Timothy chapter 4, verse 9. Personal remarks. Do your best to come to me quickly, for Demas, because he loved this world, has deserted me and has gone to Thessalonica. Let's see. Apparently he was also mentioned in Colossians. Let me pull this joint up. Said he was a lover of the world. Facebook Colossians, y'all. Verse 14. Colossians chapter 4, verse 14. Oh, okay. So it looks like he was actually able to send greetings at one point. Colossians 4, verse 14. He sent greetings three times in scriptures, and apparently in Philemon. So before he deserted Timothy, which is what he deserted Paul, excuse me, which is what Paul said. Apparently, wow. Mm, this is good. Okay, this is what I'm gonna share with you guys. Hold on one second. 'Cause I want you guys to see what it is that I see. That's a really good song, by the way. Do you see what I see? Do y'all know that? That's by Elevation Worship. Dun, 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 dun. Do you see what I see? Oh, I see lightning, I hear thunder. Oh, it's a phenomenal song. And it goes, something stirring 6 feet under. Do, 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 do. Dead things coming back to life again. I know that there's about to be another resurrection. And I switched the words believe to know that because to believe means you go either way. Either you know or you don't. All right. So anyway, so bulletininserts.org. Sucked in, a lesson from Demas about the dangerous side of love. At the center of the swirling mass of stars known as the Milky Way galaxy exists a phenomenon known as the black hole. This cosmic garbage disposal has a gravitational pull so strong that stars, planets, asteroids, and even space itself cannot escape. What happens to the object that is sucked into this monster defies imagination. Its mass is compressed by the forces of gravity to such extreme density that it disappears almost completely. Imagine a nearly invisible speck of dust, one that was formerly a massive star weighing millions of tons. Black holes possess the irresistible ability to draw on whatever gets too close. Even if stars or planets possess the will to escape, they could not do so once within the monster's reach. The only reason the Earth hasn't been sucked in is that it's too far away to be at risk. The Bible tells of a professing Christian named Demas, who got too close and was sucked into a black hole of another sort, the spiritual black hole of unbelief. Demas is mentioned three times in Scripture. Colossians chapter 4, verse 14. Paul mentions that Demas wanted to send greetings to the Colossian church. In Philemon chapter 24, Paul once again refers to Demas, this time as one of his fellow workers in spreading the gospel. These two references tell us that Demas was a close associate of the Apostle Paul and someone who was widely thought of as a true Christian. But sadly, that is not where the story ends. The third time Demas is mentioned, we are given a different picture entirely. In his second letter to Timothy, Paul writes from a Roman prison saying, Make every effort to come to me soon, for Damas, having loved this present world, has deserted me and has gone to Thessalonica. And that's what we just read, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 9 through 10. So Paul's third description of Damas wasn't intended to show a true believer having a bad day or month or year. He referenced to Damas having loved this present world, describes someone who has fallen away from Christ. As John wrote, if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. According to 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Though Damas was formerly thought of as a believer, even by Paul himself, he had abandoned the faith and he had been drawn away and overcome by the dangerous side of love. So you guys got to understand that there are a ton of things that can easily distract or pull people away into, like this guy is saying right here, a black hole. And there's more to read here if you guys want to go in here. And he goes into all the different things of the world that can actually do that. A woman or man, business opportunity, promise of riches, social acceptance, and a moral habit. Like there's all of these things, there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff that can really just take over your life if you allow it. And what's important is that you keep God first, right? Because when you actually start to see yourself the way that God sees you, you start to really love yourself in a healthy way, in a way that you need to. And then you start to love others as well, right? Because that's what we're here for. We're here to love God, love ourselves, love others. And there's a way to do so in a healthy way, in a way that, it doesn't take from what your purpose is. Now, right? It's one thing to, I'm going to tell you a story. It's one thing to indulge, but there's another thing to be addicted, or there's another thing to overindulge. There is a such thing as too much of a good thing. There is a such thing as too much water, too much sleep. Like there literally is boundaries. There literally are boundaries and limitations for everything that we do. And that's the importance of structure, a system, because God literally created everything to have a purpose, even down to the food that we eat, to the way that we sleep, all of these things, to the sun, you know what I'm saying? To the moon, to the nature, the fact that we need bees because of what they do, and it helps us breathe, right? And the trees, like God literally created every single thing for a purpose. And if we allow ourselves to overindulge in an aspect within that purpose, right? Or we overstep, or we just do too much of it, we can actually mess up and cause a chink in our chain, in the chain of our purpose. And that is something that can actually limit your impact cap, right? Damas was starting to make an impact, but he only ended up in a few verses. Now I'm not sure if he's in the lost books of the Bible, because Enoch had like what, 3 verses in the Bible that was actually voted out of the books that were voted. But Enoch has actually he wrote books. They're considered the quote unquote lost books of the Bible. So it's like all of these things, right? I never heard of Damas until recently, until today. You know what I'm saying? Like, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is. But it's unfortunate that he allowed overindulgence in whatever it was, loving the world, the things of this world so much more than what God had called him to do and become in himself, right? That he loved all of those things much more than doing what it is that he needed to do, to the point where his impact had a cap, and we'll never know unless, until we get to heaven. Maybe he at the end, maybe he was able to, make it right and do what he needs to do, but we won't know. And you don't want to allow things in your life or things distract you or keep you from having a cap, i.e., a limitation on your impact. So be encouraged, think about it differently. Do not quit, be faithful in what it is you've been called to do, and rock it out. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in.